everyone, thanks for watching here on BuffaloPlus.com and on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Mike Catalana, Jenna Cottrell, and myself. And guys, a sad day in Western New York, especially for Mike Catalana. Frank Gore, no longer a Buffalo Bill.
Okay, twice a year we get to see Frank. Love Frank. Love the fact that the guy just loves playing so much. And what works for Frank Gore is teams need running backs all the time. Frank would take a limited role. He's not going to make a lot of money. He'll sign one-year deals. So I think 8 or 10 years from now, we'll be having the same conversation again about Frank and his son still playing together.
The 2030, free agency, Frank Gore will still be out there getting a job. But Jenna, looking what it does now for the Bills locker room and their running back room, are you surprised? Because obviously they have Devin Singletary, they got Zach Moss, and really there's TJ Yeldon and, the guy from
Christian Wade.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That guy. Are you surprised? Do you think they add another Frank Gore type to these two young guys?
I am in the minority between you two, considering the fact that, look, I think obviously Devin Singletary had a great season last year. He learned a lot from Frank Gore. Frank Gore, not the most dynamic in terms of his stats last season. So because of that, his presence, what he brings, his leadership, I could see them wanting to sign a guy that has that type of presence to help develop, once again, a Devin Singletary, but branching off of that, a Zach Moss. I don't think TJ Yeldon is that guy. Now, Brandon Beane has said that they have confidence in TJ Yeldon, but he barely played. Confidence.
Yeah.
He barely played.
He had 17 carries last season.
And he had a fumble.
But here's the difference. But here's the difference now is Gore was in that role as the second running back last year. So now you would assume Moss is going to be that guy. Right? The guy who's going to get the second amount of carries behind Singletary. So when I think about that other guy playing, I think, all right, what is he bringing to your roster if he's going to have limited carries? So could you bring a guy in that can play some special teams, that will take that limited role, that may be inactive sometimes? It could be a guy like TJ Yeldon.
But branching off of that role. I think because they have Yeldon on the team and he had such a limited role last year, what is the harm in bringing in a player that is maybe quote unquote over the hill? No, I get, hey, LaShawn McCoy.
Oh, I knew you were going to go there. Yeah, I would say not to be the third back. No, he's certainly not going to play special teams.
No.
They've already taken away, $5 million that was on his contract for that last year. So I don't see that happening. But look, we know the NFL. There are always players who become available, especially to get into camp where veteran guys get cut loose. I'm sure there's a former Carolina Panther out there somewhere that's going to end up possibly on this Bills roster
or somebody like that. I always think to contradict Jenna's point, I just think that if Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott wanted a veteran presence, or if that was one of the things they really wanted to add to this locker room and in the running backs room, they would have done it already. But instead they went younger. They made that point. And look, they have said, as you said, air quotes, glowing remarks about everything TJ Yeldon has done. And they had chances this offseason. They had money. They had cap space. They could have gone out and gotten a Jordan Howard. They could have spent a 5th-round pick to go maybe get a Leonard Fournette who's, has more experience, but they didn't. I think that this was a point of emphasis of not addressing it. And look, Frank Gore was such a great guy to Devin Singletary. I was tweeting out all the funny pictures I had of the two of them. They looked like twins, and they were moving in unison. But I still think that Devin Singletary could FaceTime Frank Gore this offseason, even though he's a Jet, to hang out or to get some advice.
No, I could definitely see. I think, Frank Gore is going to have a lasting impact on Devin Singletary and his career. But I think what Mike was saying too, after camp, before the season starts, there are a lot of guys that do get cut. LaShawn McCoy was one of them last year. I just think too, I just hear Brandon Beane in my head saying, we like to have a veteran in the room. And when you have such talented guys that are so young, why wouldn't you want to have a fostering environment for them?
Yeah, I think that's possible that they can do that. I also think they'll be looking for a player who's going to help them, because you never know what happens, especially with two young guys. And when I look at a team in a position the Bills are in, where you have two talented guys that you've invested pretty heavily in, 3rd-round picks, So you know they're going to play. So where do you find that running back? So look around the league. Look at a team that drafted a running back early. Look at a team who signed a running back. I mean, we haven't even gone to mini camps. Who knows when that'll happen, or training camps. Guys get cut loose all the time. I mean, it just happens. So I think there will be a serviceable running back out there late. I mean, you know, sure. I remember the year when, and I haven't brought this up in a while, the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Oh, no way.
They signed LeGarrette Blount like in August, like right before the season started. Mm-hmm. And he was one of their main backs. And then they made trades for 2 backs during the season. And these guys played vital roles for them. And LeGarrette Blount had done it the year before, won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. And then the next year, he ends up getting signed by the Lions. So there are guys like that out there. I think we'll see those veteran players. Obviously, the bulk of the carries are going to go to the young guys.
Right, and I think it is interesting because I was thinking about this too when I was thinking about Frank Gore and what he meant to that locker room. You know, he really wasn't a very outspoken guy, but he just was a pro. Like, I think that was more of what it was. Lorenzo talked, but he was also, you know, I went back to the story, Jenna, that was Uncle Zoe and Uncle Frank, that they were the first guys in there and that they instilled those things. And I feel like, wow, losing Lorenzo Alexander and losing Frank Gore, you're losing such of that leadership. But I feel like they did leave that mark of how to be a pro. They taught Devin Singletary. Yeah. They taught Tremaine Edmonds. And that literally this is the leadership baton being passed now. Now you look at a guy like Tremaine Edmonds, Josh Allen, you have Mitch Morse, even Deion Dawkins, guys that, you know, when this thing was starting to get started, they were young guys trying to, you need to bring in a veteran to do that. Now all of a sudden it's like the veterans, you know, the play kind of declined a little bit. And now it's the next younger group to be a leader. It's time for Josh Allen to be a leader, Tremaine to be a leader. At 22, he's got to be a leader.
This is trust the process, right? Like, right. Process, the roots were laid down by a guy like Lorenzo Alexander, initially buying in when Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane came to town. And then from there, the other guys latching on to that idea. Now, it's going to be weird without, you know, Lorenzo Alexander is such a vocal leader, like you said. I mean, and you can tell he like walked the walk, talked the talk. You know, obviously Frank Gore a little quieter, but still he was the first one out at camp. I felt like he already did a full workout before most of the players were even on the field. But yeah, you would hope that that's the type of leadership. And it's interesting too, because I see Tremaine Edmonds as being more of a quiet type of leader, like a Frank Gore.
I think they want to see guys like Edmonds or Milano, and on the offensive side, certainly, you know, Allen, become those leaders. This team still does have a lot of leaders, right? I mean, you got guys like Micah Hyde there. You still have Jerry Hughes. I mean, you got Star Latula. They talk about a quiet guy, but he's a guy who's been around the league. You just brought in Addison, who seems like he's going to be that type of player. I don't think they lack that at all. Getting back to the running backs, what Jenna was saying, I don't think it's as much like leadership of that. I think it's just following your position group. Like it's your guy that you learn from a little bit. Yeah. I think Singletary picked up a lot of that last year. But I think they need another guy who can play at that position. And I think they have two.
It's a delicate balance for sure.
Yeah, it is. But there's players out there. There's players out there they'll be looking at.
So you think they're going to look to a player?
Yes, I'm with you, Jenna.
Oh, okay.
And I think Dan is, as you put so eloquently, wrong.
No, I'm not saying. I agree with both of you that if there is a player that comes along and gets cut at the end of training.
Yeah, that's not the way I think they're thinking of it. I think they know a player will be available. They're waiting on it. They want to upgrade that position.
I'll say no. I will disagree with you, saying you're wrong, and that they'll only do it if something is too good to pass up and that a leader becomes available.
It's 2 against 1.
Yeah, it's not going to be LaShawn McCoy. I'll tell you that much.
No, I don't think.
I really don't think it'll be.
Oh, and by the way, the one guy we have not really talked about, and I know the fans love him because the way he came in is Christian Wade.
Yeah.
Look, wouldn't it be awesome if they actually could depend on him? But think about it. When your 1 and 2 running backs are kids, I don't think your next running back is going to be a guy who's never played in a real football game that counted, because he didn't play in college. Obviously he didn't play in high school, and in the pros he only played in preseason games. So I don't know if you can count on that guy. It would be an amazing story if he did, but I don't think they're counting on that.
One last thing. I know we've talked about this, it seems like at the end of every blog, but just because of how weird this off season is going to be, I think that also gives TJ Yeldon another chip in his corner, just because it is so weird. It's kind of like I think about with Barkley having the leg up over Jake Fromm, because you just don't know what's going to happen during an offseason. And are you going to go in with a backup quarterback that is maybe had an abbreviated mini camp on an iPad and then half a training camp? So we will wait and see. But Frank Gore, no longer a Buffalo Bill.
Great for him to go to the Jets. He's played in 3 of 4 teams in the AFC East, never with the Patriots. He'll wait a few more years, and then he'll go.
Yeah, Belichick's just waiting for 3 more years for him to really
waiting until he can get him really cheap.
Yeah,
and then Frank will catch 60 passes in the season and beat the Bills twice. Because
thanks for watching on BuffaloPlus.com and the YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. As always, for Mike and Jenna, I'm Dan. Thanks for watching.